All right. Well, let's ask a question from our text message community. And this is from Tomi W. And they ask, if someone doesn't like tinctures or liquid remedies, what would be a better alternative for potency? Are capsules a comparable alternative? And if so, how would we determine a proper dosing schedule and timeline for someone?
Okay. Woo. Okay. And we go left.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is an interesting question. This does come up in my clinical work. I even have in my clinical form, I have a question surrounding sensitivities to alcohol, whether they be religious, behavioral, et cetera, or otherwise. And, can you, reasonably consume herbal extracts produced with alcohol? So I make sure up front with my clients that I'm aware of whether or not they can actually, take alcoholic extracts or not, because that is for me that is the primary form of herbal blends that I blend. I've got my dispensary here behind door number 2. And so I definitely focus on tincture blends. I also do I do aqueous extracts. So I do a lot of infusions, especially long overnight infusions and I spend a lot of time curating the herbs that I bring into my apothecary. I'm focused very predominantly on American herb farmers, things that were grown this season, and very picky about that. And so if I can't get a person, I'm taking you through my logic here before we get to capsules, but if I cannot get a person to utilize tinctures, for me, the next step is actually working with infusions and teas. And I have to say that even though a person doesn't, quote unquote, like to take teas, I think that there's some coaching that we can do as herbalists to support a person and engaging with that type of care. And I'm going to say this because the act of making yourself tea and drinking that tea is a profound act of empathy towards the body. And if we can, as herbalists, support and coach people into that space of body empathy, the healing work can really begin for them. And so, even though I might get some pushback from clients about like, no, I just want to swallow capsules, I will say that, well, sometimes the efficacy or the effectiveness of herbs is in the taking of them and that process of bringing them into the body in a really sort of cognizant way, which could even be brewed real quick and chug, but it's still this profound act of body empathy. And so I would say that if you have someone that's like absolutely adamant about not drinking infusions, herbal infusions, but they're happy to take capsules, that there's some room for coaching there, that you might be able to get them to shift a little bit. And start with simples. Start simply. Don't give them a huge complicated formula that tastes like crap. Start with something that can entice them in. I will also say too that I think one of the downfalls of capsules, there's a few, and one of them is that you can't ever really taste the herbs. And so, the aromatics are important. The bitters can be important. The sweetness can be important. So, the idea of taking herbs, it also is the tasting of them, I think, is also part of their medicinal support. And so to kind of streamline that and jump straight to capsules, we're already missing, 2 very important features of taking herbs internally. So my view on capsules is, they can be absolutely awesome. Okay, they can be absolutely awesome for people who can't, for some whatever reason, stomach the tea, right? We're getting to that point where teas are not an option either. Here we are, capsules. And so a few things, like you have to get the quantity in grams as you would, and I'm going metric here because a gram and a mill are pretty much equivalent, right? So you have to get the equivalent of grams into the body that you would get based on the extract you are using, whether that be a tincture or a tea. And milliliters, you have to get the same amount or the same dose in of the plants, which means that you are going to be having that client swallow a ton of capsules in order to get that effective dose. A ton. If you are making these yourself, which bless your heart if you are, because making capsules can be a real pain in the tuchus. This is an incredibly expensive process. And if you're dispensing and producing capsules out of your own dispensary, it is very time consuming, and your time is also, is valuable and has monetary value. And so by the time you do the math, and I have on capsules, you're going to be upside down. It is definitely going to be a drain on your clinical practice if you're thinking it from a business perspective. So that being said, if you are not going to be making capsules yourself, your next bet is to then suggest capsules that are being made by other companies. And what I would suggest in that regard is that you actually just follow the instructions on the bottle. So you make the suggestion, hey, try this, Gaia herbs, hawthorn extract in capsules, follow the instructions on the label. And I feel like, as not getting into a mathematics lesson on how to do capsule math, I think that's probably what I can say about the capsule question.
Very thorough answer. I want to say one of the first herbal remedies I made when I first started working at Mountain Rose Herbs was turmeric capsules. And then I never did that again. So
That you know.
yeah.